Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Maybe you have to turn this up. I don't know. Hare Krishna. It's kind of low. I don't know. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Well, we welcome all of you again to most auspicious celebration of the appearance of Ramchandra. So before we continue, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidivāchalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurundiritarinam Vancha Kalpadribhishcha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he explains that if one understands the transcendental nature, or the transcendental nature of his appearance and activities, then they do not have to take birth again in this material world, but they go to his transcendental abode. When we think about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or when we think about God, there's particular qualifications that that Krishna has. Can someone please pass me a glass of water there? I haven't developed that mystic power yet to float the water. Bajnaran Swami mentioned that the other day. Thank you. So there's certain qualifications that God has. He is omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful. He's everywhere. So clearly, for an ordinary man or an ordinary woman to claim godhood is a mistake. It's not, the qualifications are much higher than people may think. So Krishna or Ramachandra or other incarnations, they perform wonderful activities that are unmatchable, that an ordinary person cannot perform. And as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, we are not these bodies, we're spirit souls, we're the soul. But far above us is Paramatma, or the Supreme Soul, Krishna. The Bhagavatam says, what does it say? Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajganam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabhyate. That there are three aspects to the absolute truth, three aspects to God. One is Krishna within everyone's heart, or God within everyone's heart. The other aspect is the effulgence, or the light and personal aspect. And the highest aspect of God is the personal aspect. So in other words, God's a person, or Krishna's a person, Ramachandra's a person. So, of course, it's a lot to speak about, and where we do not have that much time. But I'll just share something from the Srimad Bhagavatam about Ramachandra. This is from Canto 2, Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnations, text 23. All right, let's see. Yes, text 23. Okay. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha Ikṣvāku Vamsa Avatirya Guru Nideshe Tishtan Vanam Sadayatanuja Avivesha Yasmin Virudya Dashakandara Artim Archat. All right, this is the translation. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his plenary extensions, appeared in the family of Mahārāja Ikṣvāku as the lord of his internal potency, Sītā. Under the order of his father, Mahārāja Daśaratha, he entered the forest and lived there for considerable years with his wife. and younger brother. Ravana, who was very materially powerful with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. Purport. Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his brothers, namely Bharat, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna, are his plenary expansions. All 4 brothers are Vishnu Tattva and were never ordinary human beings. There are many unscrupulous and ignorant commentators on Ramayana who present the younger brothers of Lord Ramachandra as ordinary living entities. So who could say what unscrupulous means? Huh? Without scruple. Without scruple, okay. Who could say what is scruple? They don't care? Okay. Without moral principles? Okay. All right. Most of our neighbors without moral principles, yes. All right, Krishna. All right. So unscrupulous commentators. All right. And ignorant commentators on Ramayana who present the younger brothers of Lord Ramachandra as ordinary living entities. But here, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the most authentic scripture on the science of Godhead, it is clearly stated that his brothers were his plenary expansions. Originally, Lord Ramachandra is the incarnation of Vasudeva, Lakshman is the incarnation of Sankarshan, Bharat is the incarnation of Pradyumna, and Shatrughna is the incarnation of Aniruddha. Expansions of the personality of Godhead. Lakshmi Ji, Sītā, is the internal potency of the Lord and is neither an ordinary woman nor the external potency incarnation of Durga. Durga is the external potency of the Lord, and she is associated with Lord Shiva. So yeah, Srila Prabhupada makes a very wonderful point that there are many unscrupulous and ignorant commentators on Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. So this is an important thing to note, that whenever we are reading translations of like Ramayana or Srimad Bhagavatam or other spiritual books, it's important that we are reading books that have been translated by authorized devotees of Ramachandra, authorized devotees of Krishna. Same with kirtan, same with hearing classes, and so on. Whatever they write, whatever they say, that will negatively affect us if they're unscrupulous or ignorant. The Ramayana is written by, well, I guess there's a few authors, but what is it? Yes, Valmiki, okay. So Valmiki, before he was a great sage, he was very fallen, very wretched, or very unqualified. So actually, his guru to be Narada Muni, he came to him and he said, chant the name of Ram. And he was so fallen at the time that he just couldn't chant the name of Ram. So Narada Muni, he came up with a second plan. Does anyone remember what he had him chant? Yes, Mara. And what does that mean? It means death. Yeah. There's actually an apartment building right before you get on the freeway over here, and it's called Mara. Not good. It's a new apartment building. Fancy. They picked the wrong name. Maybe they should have Amara, without death. But yeah, this is Amara. Uh-oh. So Valmiki, he was he could do that. He could chant Mara, 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 because it was his custom to actually kill innocent animals and creatures, and so he was very much absorbed in death. So he could say that Mara, 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 Mara. But eventually, it became what? Yeah, Ram, Ram. He started chanting the holy name of Ram. And then he became so qualified that through revelation, all the pastimes of Ramachandra came to him, and he wrote this down, and he taught Ramachandra's sons. Their names? Yes, 2 sons. So sometimes people, they think that, oh, I am so unqualified, how can I ever become Krishna conscious? How can I ever become Ram conscious? How can I ever advance in spiritual life? But you have an example of this person. He couldn't even chant the name of Ram. Everyone here could chant the name of Ram. You all just did. But he couldn't even chant the name of Ram. Mara, Mara, Mara. But he was transformed. He was saved by the instruction of his guru, his teacher. So we can take hope in his example. All right, so we'll just continue. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears, 4.7, the Lord appears when there are discrepancies in the discharge of factual religion. Lord Ramachandra also appeared under the same circumstances, accompanied by his brothers, who are expansions of the Lord's internal potency, and by Lakshmiji Sītā Devi. Lord Ramachandra was ordered by his father, Mahārāja Daśaratha, to leave home for the forest under awkward circumstances. And the Lord, as the ideal son of his father, carried out the order, even on the occasion of his being declared the king of Ayodhya. One of his younger brothers, Lakshmanji, desired to go with him, and so also his eternal wife, Sītā, desired to go with him. The Lord agreed to both of them, and altogether they entered the Dandakaranya forest, to live there for 14 years. During their stay in the forest, there was some quarrel between Ramchandra and Rāvaṇa, and the latter kidnapped the Lord's wife, Sītā. The quarrel ended in the vanquishing of the greatly powerful Rāvaṇa, along with all his kingdom and family. Sītā is Lakshmiji, or the goddess of fortune, but she is never to be enjoyed by any living being. She is meant for being worshipped by the living being along with her husband. Sri Ramachandra, a materialistic man like Rāvaṇa. Does anyone know anyone like Rāvaṇa? Prabhupada says there's people like that, materialistic man like Rāvaṇa. A materialistic man like Rāvaṇa does not understand this great truth, but on the contrary, he wants to snatch Sītā Devi from the custody of Ram, and thus incurs great miseries. The materialists, who are after opulence and material prosperity, may take lessons from the Ramayana that the policy of exploiting the nature of the Lord without acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord is the policy of Rāvaṇa. Rāvaṇa was very advanced materially, so much so that he turned his kingdom Lanka into pure gold, or full material wealth. But because he did not recognize the supremacy of Lord Ramachandra and defied him by stealing his wife Sītā, Rāvaṇa was killed, and all his opulence and power were destroyed. Lord Ramachandra is a full incarnation with 6 opulences in full, and he is therefore mentioned in this verse as Kalesha, or master of all opulence. So the policy of Rāvaṇa is to exploit the creation of God, opulence, material opulence, and so on, without acknowledging the supremacy of God, or without acknowledging the supremacy of Ram. So it's okay to have material opulence for some people. It's okay. But whatever opulence we have, we should understand that it actually, who the owner is. Ultimately, the owner is Krishna or Ramchandra. We're not the owners. And we should try to use whatever we have in Krishna's service or Ram's service. That's the idea. So, so Sītā, she was taken by Ravana, who was disguised as a mendicant. And while Ravana was carrying Sītā off, one great devotee saw this happening. He was the only one to see this, them flying off. And that was Jatayu, who was a great devotee in the form of a vulture, right? Yeah. In the form of a vulture. So he was old at the time. He was a seasoned warrior. In his time, he was very powerful. But because of his old age, he was a bit weak. But he was thinking to himself that, how can I just watch this happen? Just watch the demon Ravana just take off Sītā. How can I watch this? So he decided to try to fight. So he made some progress. He managed to kill Ravana's the animals that were carrying the chariot. Anyone remember what animals were carrying the chariot? Mules. Donkeys, mules, yeah. Donkeys. So he was able to kill those. And then there was a battle that ensued, and eventually Ravana got the upper hand, and he cut one of Jatayu's wings off. And then the second one, and then he was lying there dying, Jatayu. And then Ravana took Sītā. So, and then Ramachandra, he came to the scene and he saw Jatayu there, who's chanting Ram, Ram, Ram. And then while he was dying, while Jatayu was dying, Ramchandra was there, and he was seeing the face of Ramchandra. So it's the biggest or the greatest blessing of a devotee. Imagine just being there and Ramachandra's staring at you with great love and devotion. So they're both staring at each other with great love and devotion, and then he left this world. So he attained success. And Ramachandra, he was in the mood of like a son to Jatayu, so he performed the funeral ceremony. All right. A little more time. So, so this is important for us to note as well, that things may seem impossible, things may seem difficult. Many times people, they approach devotees who have been practicing for many years, and they may ask, well, how have you been practicing for so many years, or how do you become enthusiastic, or these different types of questions. And one answer is that if we are able to meditate on personalities like Jatayu, and his glory was simply that even though he really knew he wasn't going to be successful in a sense, he still tried. So there may be so many things going against us, whatever that may be, but Krishna or Ramchandra is pleased if we try. And for those who try, ultimately they are successful. Those who don't try, then there's not successful. But those who try, they're ultimately successful. So that's something to note from Jatayu's example. So Sītā, she was brought to Lanka. I mean, there's so many details. Again, we're running against time here. But eventually, Hanuman, the great devotee of Ramchandra, the loyal, devoted, surrendered devotee, pure devotee of Ramchandra, found Sītā, and they decided to, with Ramchandra and his army, cross over to Lanka and take care of Ravana. So I won't read the purport, but I'll read the verse, the next verse. The personality of Godhead, Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant intimate friend Sītā, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravana with red-hot eyes, like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics, like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry, red-hot eyes of the Lord. So he was very angry, Ramchandra, and he was looking at the city of Lanka, Ravana city, and by his red-hot eyes, the whole ocean was becoming hot. It was heating up, and all the aquatics were filling it. So it says the ocean gave way. So while they were going to cross this to the city of Lanka, Hanuman and soldiers and other soldiers, devotees, they were throwing boulders to make a nice bridge across. And there was one squirrel there doing his part. You can imagine. I mean, Hanuman's real powerful. And you can imagine this small squirrel just, putting a few pebbles. And so Hanuman, in his, wasn't a fault, but in his transcendental ecstasy and his transcendental enthusiasm, he asked the squirrel to move to the side because he was throwing these boulders, which were much, much bigger. So, so then Ramchandra overheard this, and he went to Hanuman, and he said that, Hanuman, just as I am accepting your service of throwing the boulders, I'm accepting this service. So similarly, I'm accepting the service of this squirrel, and I see them as equal. And also you should note that who is the person who is making these boulders float? In other words, it's me. I'm making the boulders float. So that's another thing we could learn from this exchange between Ramchandra and the squirrel, is that whatever the service is, even if it's just a little service goes a long way. Of course, we should do as much as possible, and that's also a point there, that the squirrel was doing as much as he could do, and Hanuman was doing as much as he could do, so we should try to do as much as we can. All right, so the last verse. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, so now they've crossed and now they're engaged in battle. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke in pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravana. And the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravana, therefore, felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. So he was thinking, I'm so wonderful, I'm so great, and he was loitering there amongst all the soldiers. I'm the conqueror of all directions, he was thinking, and he was laughing. But his laughter, overtaken by joy, along with the very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. So he killed him. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, however powerful a living being may be, when he is condemned by God, no one can save him. And similarly, however weak one may be, if he is protected by the Lord, no one can annihilate him. So his plans to conquer, his plans to enjoy without acknowledging the supremacy of Krishna, Ramchandra, were destroyed. And there was victory to Ram. So these are some thoughts on this particular occasion. and it's a wonderful occasion. We could chant more, we could pray more, we could read more, and there's special blessings to be obtained on this day. So does anybody have any question or comment? Yes. And then Bhajanarayan Swami, yes. Is it only in relation to devotional service to Krishna, or in terms of materially?
Materially or worse, going against with those.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. So, Jai. So, the question is, I'll repeat, that is it that if one keeps on trying, will they be successful? Are we just talking about spiritually or materially? Specifically, when I brought up Jatayu and the principle of trying, I was specifically referring to our spiritual endeavors. That, especially if one's trying to be Krishna conscious, God conscious, then Krishna will help. That's who we are, that's our nature. We are servants of Krishna. We are originally Krishna conscious. So Krishna will help with that. That is our real happiness, the happiness of the soul. In terms of things working out materially, there's no guarantee. Much of what works out materially is based on one's past actions and laws of nature and so on. So that's, there's no guarantee with that. If one keeps on trying, they'll be successful. But there is a guarantee in Krishna consciousness. If one keeps on trying, they will be successful. That's a guarantee. So I think, all right, Bhajanarayan Swami, you had a...
All right. Well, I suppose you're speaking with the expectation that I'll remember some of the things you said. Now, if I remember some of the things you've said, how does that impact my life? What am I supposed to do with these ideas? Do I walk in the door the same way I walked out? Why?
Okay, thank you.
Or carry some in pocket.
Carry something important. Very good.
Well, I mean, in relation to changing, if somebody understands the importance of changing for the good, then there may be some hope of change. If someone really doesn't understand, then it's very difficult to change one's behavior at all. And in the material world, in material existence, there's a tendency just to forget God and to really live by the principle of Ravana, which just means exploiting the resources of God and not acknowledging God. That's the general tendency in this world. So in relation to taking something, that's one of the main takeaways, that we should try to understand the existence of God. There is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are intimately connected with Him. And instead of neglecting Him, we should try to reconnect ourselves with Him. Now, I I can't claim, I'm not omniscient, so I can't claim to know what's going on in everyone's minds and how much everyone will take that seriously. But that's the hope. That's why the temple's here. The temple is to educate people in relation to God consciousness, or Krishna consciousness specifically, and help people take steps to awaken that relationship. So practical things one can do. There's 5 most potent forms of devotional service, or bhakti yoga. One is to chant the holy name of Krishna. So that's one. So you could chant on a daily basis. 2 is to worship the deity of Krishna with great awe and reverence, form of Krishna. 3 is to hear, like we were just hearing. That's also a process of bhakti, to hear about Krishna, Ramchandra, hear scriptural knowledge. The 4th one is to reside in a holy place, or to be in a holy place. This temple is a holy place. We could also make our home a holy place. People talk about Ram, what is it? Ram Raj, right? So we could take Ram into our home. We take Krishna, Ram into our home, and live by the principles of Ramchandra, which are so many wonderful spiritual principles. So we make our home a temple. And lastly is that we associate with devotees, spiritually advanced persons. And actually, spiritually advanced persons, they bring these processes to life. Of course, they're living, but without associating with devotees, one really doesn't have access to these, to scriptural knowledge, to chanting the holy names, when it really comes down to it. That association, that advanced association is what elevates one. So those are some things. I hope that's satisfy you to some degree. Okay, thank you all very much. Shri Rāvaṇa ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.